Captain Xavier, and I play him in a lot of different places. I play him in HVZ, I play him in Afterworlds, which is a post-apocalyptic LARP, I play him in video games, I play him in Medieval Recreation, and I play him here on YouTube. And it's a really fun character, and these are stories of events that have taken place under that particular name. And today's story, as chosen by you guys from the 3 options, is the time that Captain Xavier attacked an actual English judge with a knife and got thrown in the stocks. And this was, I think it was the first year that I'd been using that name. The Medieval Recreation group that I was in at the time, the Empire of Adria, volunteered at the Ye Merry Greenwood Renaissance Festival in the Tri-Cities every year. And we were volunteers. We went there, we got into the fair for free, and in exchange for that we had to help out with the fair. We helped with setup, we helped with water bearing, we helped with a number of various things that we were asked to help out with in exchange for getting into the fair for free. And then we got to do our own demonstrations. We did combat demonstrations and other sorts of demonstrations that would help with recruiting for our organization. So it was a mutually beneficial relationship between us and the fair. And we got to have a lot of fun. And the first year that I went, I didn't really understand exactly what was going on. I just graduated high school. It was the summer before college. And I was there, still, the dastardly pirate character. And when we went to actors' call at the beginning of the fair to, just to get the general rundown of what was going on, they brought up that they were still looking for people for one of their acts. And I didn't know what it was. It was called Court of the Dusty Footed, and I had no idea what that was, but they were looking for a dockmaster. And my character was, a pirate, a sailor. Surely that qualified me to play a dockmaster. So I volunteered, not knowing that we weren't actually supposed to volunteer for any of the acts because we weren't part of the acting troupe. But it didn't seem to bother them, so it didn't bother me. So I was told when to show up and where, but nobody told me what I was supposed to do. I figured at some point somebody would give me a script, or give me my lines, or tell me what I was supposed to be doing. No. As the event gets closer and closer, I start getting slightly more nervous, because I have no idea what I'm doing. And, time rolls around, I show up, I get there, still nobody has explained to me what's going on. They seem to be under the bizarre impression that I have any idea what I'm doing. Probably because they assumed that if I volunteered for the act, I knew what the act was. Well, that was a foolish assumption. And so I end up on stage, in front of an audience. Still no idea what I'm doing. And I'm bumbling through, and people are saying lines, and they keep looking at me like they're expecting me to do something, and finally, somebody kind of whispers in my ear, say something, do something. I'm like, I have no idea what I'm supposed to be doing. It's an improv sketch. Just make stuff up. Oh, well, that I can do. I mean, I always loved acting, and I especially loved improv. I've been involved in a number of plays in high school, and I'd been to an acting camp for a summer, and that's all I needed. As soon as they told me that that's what was going on, I was off and running, and had a blast. I mean, the sketch ended up being, very popular. Anyway, the storyline that we created that day ended up getting used for years to come as part of the official storyline of the play, and one of the characters who was supposed to be in charge of the docks, but it was determined that the ship had sank because he had been stumbling through the powder magazine looking for booze, something along those lines. And so the ship was sunk at the dock, and it was very fun. So now that I knew what Court of the Dusty Footed was, that it was this improv sketch, I was excited to be involved in it again. And the opportunity came a few years later. I think it was a few years later. It might have been the next year, but again, they were having Court of the Dusty Footed, and my character, it had to have been a couple of years, because my character had become known as this seditious Frenchman who liked running around causing trouble at the fair, because it was an English fair, and there was a couple of us Frenchmen who kept going around being French, passing out copies of the papal bull that excommunicated Queen Elizabeth, and the sorts of things that would annoy the nobility. And so they came to me and said, hey, we've got this idea for a sketch for the Court of the Dusty Footed, and we wanted to know if you would be interested in playing along. And I said, absolutely, that's one of my favorite parts of the whole fair, because Court of the Dusty Footed was one of the few parts of the Greenwood Fair that had any audience participation. I felt the fair lacked sufficient audience participation numbers. And so when we got invited to be part of it again, I said, absolutely, let me know what the plan is. And so they explained how they wanted this sketch to go. Originally, it was intended to be kind of a Midsummer Night's Dream scenario, as it were, where the father wants the daughter to marry one man, the mother wants the daughter to marry a different man, and so they've been brought to court, and the sketch is, how does the judge determine who ends up marrying the daughter? But the actors decided they wanted to change it up to make it a little bit more interesting. And so the story became the husband, the father, wanted the daughter to marry guy number one, and the mother wanted her to marry me, the seditious Frenchman. Neither of us want to marry the daughter, and the daughter has a crush on the judge. This was the story arc that we decided to throw at them at the last second. And so we get there, we're standing up front, it is vaguely explained to the judge what is going on, and the judge looks at us and goes, well, can one of you kindly explain what's going on? And I volunteer, being the snarky Frenchman that I was. I go, yes, my lord, I can explain. So no chier, there I was on the boat to Calais, and this crazy woman, she comes up to me and says, you are going to marry my daughter. And I say, I'm going to marry your daughter. I've never met your daughter. I've got to go to Calais. And she starts screaming, and the bailiffs come and they drag me to court, and here I am. I've never met this daughter. I do not want to marry this daughter. Somebody explain to me what is going on here. And the judge, being he was apparently actually an English judge who came to this fair to visit for no idea why. So they asked him to play the English judge in their fair, and he agreed. I don't know if he was from England, if he came over from England, if he just lived here but was English. I have no idea what his storyline was, except that supposedly he was an actual English judge. And naturally, being English, he doesn't care much for the French, especially not on an Elizabethan Ren fair. So he asked me, are you French? And I go, of course I am. Why do you think I have this outrageous accent, you silly judge? And the bailiff, bless his heart, right on cue, well, what are you doing in England? Mind your own business. And the sketch continues on from there. And eventually it's revealed that the son doesn't want to marry the daughter either, and that the daughter has a crush on the judge. And so the judge tells us all to get lost. And somehow I managed to take umbrage in all of this, being French. It was my goal to get thrown in the stocks. And so one thing leads to another, it escalates, and I end up pulling my knife and charging the judge. And I didn't really think it through, because there wasn't a whole lot of room between me and the judge, and I was slightly worried that I was going to get to him before anybody stopped me. Luckily, the captain of the guards was quick on his feet and pulled his rapier and stopped me, and then I was dragged to the stocks and thrown on the stocks. And yeah, the thing was, you're never supposed to pull one. The knife I pulled was sharp, and as soon as they pulled the sword at me, I stuck it and I threw it into the ground, and it stuck and all of that. And they went and they inspected it, and so the director of the fair comes up to me while I'm in the stocks and is swinging my knife in front of my nose, and very calmly but very sternly making it apparent to me that I had done messed up. Because one, you're never supposed to pull a real weapon anywhere in the fair for any reason, and you're never supposed to draw any kind of a weapon in a sketch if it hasn't been determined that you're going to already. Obviously for safety reasons, and I was young and stupid and had not thought it through. Luckily, nobody got hurt, and the sketch was a huge success, and the judge actually thought it was very amusing, and he got to then make more jokes about the French, and so he enjoyed it, and I ended up in the stock, where I wanted to end up, and made sure I never did that again. In fact, as a result of that, they made me an English lord, so that they could keep me from being the seditious Frenchman. I ended up playing Sir Robert Carey, who was the cousin to the Queen. I was the second highest ranking noble at the fair at that point, and I was actually historically in charge of organizing the militias. So that's what we ended up doing. That's when we started doing the pike blocks for them. And so instead of being a seditious Frenchman, I became the Queen's cousin, and there was a whole bunch of, she recognized me and dear cousin and all of that, and it was a lot of fun. But it could have gone badly, and luckily they were a fun group. So yeah, that was how Captain Xavier got thrown in the stocks for pulling a knife on a judge. So now you guys get to pick what story I tell next, and the runner-up from the last one will get added back in. So the runner-up last time was the time that Captain Xavier led a countercharge that completely broke a zombie horde. The second option is going to be the time Captain Xavier went to war with another subdivision and single-handedly defeated them hundreds of miles away from his own army. Or the time Captain Xavier nearly slit a man's throat at a Ren fair for smoking a cigar. So I will have the survey down in the description. Go ahead and take a look and pick which one of those you would like to hear next time. I hope this was interesting. The stories get weirder and weirder, I guarantee it. And thank you guys for watching.